that. Actually. Okay. So start sitting comfortably. It might be cross-legged or whatever is comfortable for you. I'm getting closer to cross-legged here. So sitting tall with our spine nice and long and relaxing our belly, just slowing down the breath here and going inside. So let's just draw in the air all the way down the belly. You might have your eyes closed or soft. And exhaling all the way back out. Letting the shoulders relax and the jaw and the tongue. Letting our attention rest on our breath. And letting some sound come out if it wants to, right? Oh, the exhale. Oh. Just whatever wants to come out. Oh. Even be a soft sigh or a hum. And then taking one hand to gently tap our low belly, the hara or the dantian, that center of our body, just gently tapping as we breathe. Fully breathing without forcing it, but letting our breath be long and full. And then bringing our fingertips up to our heart and thymus area, gently tapping around there, waking up our heart, our thymus, our immune system. And then bringing our fingers up to our scalp and just doing a little massage as we breathe. Picking up our head. And then bringing our hands to our ears and a little bit of a massage on the ears and pulling and rubbing all around. Pulling on the lobes. And then with our fingers in our ears, gently pulling down and holding and breathing to stimulate and activate our vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve regulates our body's response. So bringing ourselves into equilibrium. Okay, and then releasing from there, bringing our arms out and just moving our spine a little bit by reaching forward, pulling the heart back toward the spine, and then drawing our arms back, feeling our shoulder blades come together as we lift. Good. Just breathing with that movement, flapping our wings. Lifting as we pull our arms back and then rounding the spine. And reach forward. And then we'll bring our arms by our side and relax them and bring our feet in front of us into a long-legged butterfly. If you like a pillow under your legs, under your knees, or a little extra help relaxing the hips. Okay, and just bring ourselves forward. We won't be here too long, just a little hip opening here and starting to get our body used to the fact that we're going to be doing some yin poses. So maybe we massage our feet while we're here. Can press into, there's the point that's on top of the foot between the big toe and second toe. That's a liver point. Press into there, or the spleen point on the bottom of the foot, on the sort of upper middle part, right under the ball of the foot, generally in that area. Good for the spleen. And then there's the kidney points that are around the inside ankle bone. Number one is between the bone and the Achilles heel. This is really especially good for helping our low back release. Our low back relax. We press into the kidney points. And there's one directly below the ankle bone, side ankle bone. And then there's one more just in front of that point toward the toes, about half an inch or so front of that point. Good for our kidneys. We could just massage, squeeze our toes, whatever feels good to your feet. Just coming inside and noticing what's happening. So with yin, we want to just come inside and let our attention relax on our breath. Notice what's going on in our body, in our mind, and our heart. Go ahead and press yourself up from there, just walking up to sitting. We'll lift our knees and maybe let them kind of go side to side for a moment. And then bringing our legs into a straddle. Bring your left foot into your right thigh, right area. You need a little support under that left knee. We'll just put a pillow there for half butterfly. And we'll come forward over that right leg, slowly letting our hands just sort of stretch towards our foot. Breathing here. So coming inside, we find that if we let our mind just sort of relax on the rhythm of the breath, just sort of letting our awareness be with what is without changing anything, coming into the pose to whatever amount feels good, and then eventually maybe going a little farther. as we get used to the pose. As we find our attention on our breath, you might notice that the slowing down of the breath creates more awareness of a sense of space, sense of spaciousness. The breath is more or less a gateway to that sort of awareness of the fact that we are primarily space. Scientifically proven that atoms consist of almost 100% space. So they say now that human body is 99 point, and then you put 7 nines after that percent space. We were to collapse the actual physical mass of the body all the way, if you could compress it all the way down and get rid of all the space, that there would simply be a little point, just a little dot. Something to think about, something to ponder. If we're really made up of space, why is it that we see, when we look in the mirror or look at ourselves, why is it that we see a physical dense body? Something to ponder while you're going to sleep at night. Okay, so what we'll do here is sort of lift our torso up a little bit and bring our left hand to our low back, kind of turn the face forward. Notice a little more stretch happening there. And if you want to bring your arm over your head, you can, or not. Just increasing that stretch through that left hip and the left side body. Maybe keeping the head lifted so the neck feels supported. Just finding a place that works for your neck. Anytime that arm wants to float back down to the leg, it can, or it can stay up. It's comfortable enough. We've got a little yang going on here by reaching our arm, adding a little yang into our yin pose. Of course, you can always do any variation that you want. If the body doesn't want to do what we're doing, you can do something a little different. Just find what works for you. Maybe we let our arm float back down and face our leg again. Whenever we're doing yin poses, we have permission to do whatever our body needs to do. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing necessarily. Find something else that works for you. And then we'll just lift our torso up again, facing our leg. Bring the right hand sort of to the side and back, and the left hand to the outside of your right calf area. Sort of lengthen the spine, flattening the back, and just twist to the back. Little twist, looking behind. Sort of feeling like we're wringing out our torso a little bit. And then back to facing the leg one more time for a little bit longer. Maybe you sink a little deeper to that stretch. Such a great stretch for the outer part of the hip, left hip in this case. Okay, then we'll bring ourselves up slowly from there. Walk up to sitting in your hands, and then we'll extend that left leg out. You might shake the legs or do whatever feels good. And then we'll bring our right foot in, giving some support if you need it. Hopefully I can do this. If this doesn't work, you can always just leave that right leg in the straddle, and then we'll come forward over our left leg, which I sometimes need to do. So bending the knee like this and coming into a half butterfly has a way of sort of increasing that stretch through the right outer hip, this side, right side. So this butterfly and half butterfly are particularly good stretches for the gallbladder meridian, that channel, and the spleen in the half butterfly, the spleen channel that goes up the side, kind of zigzaggy up the rib cage and ends underneath the armpit on the outer part of the breast. So as we breathe in our yin poses, which I consider yin to be a meditation practice myself, so that's I think those of us that are serious about yin do too. Well, it is a body meditation, body and breath meditation. So allowing our breath to move the chi through the body, channels that we call meridians, which are actually rivers of light. It's another way to describe them, flowing throughout so they have an electrical component. Let's lift up a little bit, and we'll bring our right hand, if you want to do this part, to the low back area, and you can just kind of turn to face forward. Feel that a little bit more pull on the right side around the hip. And then if you want, you can extend your arm overhead as well. That's optional. It's all optional. Yeah, stay there as long as you feel like you want to stay there, or your arm wants to. When I think of common sort of ideas or traditional ideas of meditation, of sitting and going within, usually sitting in a still pose, but going within and focusing on the breath as a gateway to the spaciousness that we are. And the whole point of that meditation practice is being a way to connect in with a higher level of consciousness. You might want to let your arm float down again if it's not already down, and face your leg. How the actually doing the yin poses, or whatever sort of yoga practice, connecting with the breath and meditating that way, this activates the channels that run through our system and the chi energy. So go ahead and bring your torso up a little bit, kind of flatten the back. And then if we bring our left hand out, that kind of back, and our right hand to the outer part of our right calf, lengthen and twist a little bit, just kind of looking back behind us. Just letting the breath sort of wring our torso out. And then facing the leg one more time, a little bit longer. So finding that connection and consciousness through breath. And whether you're sitting in meditation or you're in a pose, allowing the spaciousness of the consciousness that we are, and the fact that we are not an individual consciousness, but we really are part of a whole collective consciousness that is humankind. We're not separate. So having that awareness in whatever meditation that we are doing, go ahead and bring yourself up slowly from there, walking up to sitting. And then when you do come up, bring that leg out, and we'll open the legs again. Maybe move them around a little bit. And if you want a pillow in front of you here, we'll just take a little dragonfly stretch. So straddle or dragonfly stretch here. Rest your arms on the pillow, just relax. So finding that connection. So the consciousness connection with all of life, with all of creation, and with all of humanity through our breath and our meditation practice. Is the reason I bring this up is because it's going to start becoming more apparent in the near future that as we move into an air age, we're starting to move into an air age, that fact of connection, because of air being the connecting link, and we're coming out of a denser earth sort of age where things seem so solid. We're going to find ourselves naturally more aware of our connection. And of course, technology is going to take off even more because of it. We already have that connection, right? Internet. So we're well aware of that connection we have through the airwaves. Even more going to explode into all kinds of things that we can't even imagine now as we move into the air age. It's already begun, but it's going to sort of take off soon. Start taking off when Pluto goes into Aquarius in March. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring ourselves up from there. Slowly walk up to sitting, using your hands, and you have a pillow, you might move it out of the way. Bring our legs out in front and just kind of shake them out. And we'll bring our hands behind our hips. Lean back, lift the heart, bring our feet in, and then if you want to lift the hips up and down a little bit, help get the energy really moving in the legs again. Good. And then we'll come around to Sphinx pose. So if you want to have a pillow or folded up blanket handy, come onto your belly. And before we come into Sphinx, we'll come into infant pose to activate our backside muscles by bringing our arms alongside us. So this is like locust pose, right? Pull the shoulders back and we'll reach for our feet and lift up as we reach back. So we kind of engage all of our back body muscles here. And then bringing our elbows up in front of us, coming into Sphinx. Letting your pelvis relax, maybe rock around a little bit. I've already been finding myself that I'm beginning to become more telepathic and intuitive, which I already have that ability, but it's definitely increasing. So you might find if you're sensitive, that ability is going to increase. And there's a natural knowing that comes with that all information, all knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding. Somebody talked about this, I can't remember who, that it's always present. It's all present. You don't need to go to a book or to a school to learn anything. It's all available. So as we become more sensitive and aware and listen, pay attention, you don't have to go anywhere for knowledge and understanding. All there. So you might want to lift your feet if you want to increase that lumbar compression and that stretch in the front of the body. An option. We do this every time because it's so beneficial, right? This full little back bend. Good for the kidneys and kidney meridian. Good for our sacrum. Might also like to lift the head and get a little stretch in the front of the neck and a little compression in the back of the neck. That feels good. Just your head around or feels good for your neck. Might support your head with your hands under the chin. And as we also usually do this in two parts, we'll take a short break in half frog by letting our left knee slide up towards our shoulder and looking to the left, your head on your hands. You can also let your right arm extend down the side of your body if that's comfortable, better for your shoulder. Just relaxing that hip. And then we'll slide that leg back down and bring ourselves back into Sphinx. If you want to put something, a folded up blanket under your arms, or if you want to come into seal, you can straighten your arms to seal pose with the fingers spread wide, kind of a little wider apart maybe. Also bring a pillow or something underneath the pelvis to help support you in seal. Obviously increasing that compression in our lumbar spine. Stretch in the front of our torso. Really good strengthening for our shoulders as well. Sphinx and seal. Anytime we're putting weighting into our wrists or putting pressure on our wrist like seal does, we stimulate the triple warmer meridian. And a triple warmer meridian doesn't correspond to a particular organ like the other meridians do, but it is responsible for circulating the chi between our three systems of elimination, digestion, and respiratory. Sort of manages those systems. So if you happen to be in seal, you might want to gradually make your way down to Sphinx again. Get some time. Just kind of slowly coming back. And then we'll take a short break and half frog on the right side. Slide the right knee up and look to the right, resting on the hands. And maybe that left arm wants to go alongside your body. Okay, we'll slide that leg back down and bring ourselves up onto our all fours, or if you can't be on your all fours, a different position that you can move your spine in. Start to slowly move the spine by curling the tailbone under and letting the back round. Be letting the head hang here. And then gently coming into an arch and just going slowly and gently back and forth between the rounding and arch. Then coming to a neutral, letting our hips circle around nice and big and letting our body just kind of go where it wants to go. Letting everything move. In the other direction. Always feels good to the spine and the hips. Then we'll sit back into a child's pose for a bit. Might want your legs together. You might want your knees apart. You can also bring your feet a little bit apart to open the hips more. Just whatever feels good to you today. Child's pose could be the ultimate in yin poses. Okay, so we can come up from there and we'll ourselves back onto our all fours, tuck our toes and come into a down dog. Hopefully letting the head dangle and letting some blood get to our head and releasing our neck. And then we'll come back down to the mat and we'll come into a dragon pose. So let's bring our right foot forward. You might want some padding under your knee or on the mat. You might want blocks, or you might like to come into a supine dragon on your back with a strap or your hands around your right foot and pulling your knee down towards the mat that way with the sole of your foot facing the ceiling, right? So the supine version of a lunge, or this is doable. This might start with one hand on either side of our foot and just kind of get used to that stretch. Then maybe into one of the other variations. Right? There's the high flying dragon with our arms up on our thigh. The low flying dragon with both hands or arms inside of the foot. Or there's the winged dragon. You can wing that right knee out and sort of roll to the outside of your right foot a little bit. If you open the hip here and kind of get a stretch in the inner leg and groin area. There's also twisting dragon. And bring ourselves into a twist and look over our right shoulder. Any of those variations that feels good on this side, or come out of it, in and out of it as you want to by straightening and bending the leg. Might need to take a break and straighten your leg and back. So what comes to my mind about when I was thinking about the air age that we're moving into and the telepathic and intuitive abilities that are awakening is that song that came out back in the hippie days when I was living in a commune or communally, where I can't remember the person, but a wonderful man created that song called "It's in Every One of Us." It's in every one of us. It's on YouTube. You can listen to it, him do the original version, and it's quite beautiful. Every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. That came out years ago. Early 70s. Okay, so we'll take a stretch by straightening that right leg, whether you're on the mat or on your back, maybe flexing your foot. Back of the leg, get a little stretch here. And then we'll bring that knee back and bring our left foot forward or switch to your left leg if you're on your back doing the supine version and holding on to your left foot, pulling it, that knee down toward the mat, lunge on your back. Kind of finding that amount of lunge on this side. Maybe starting out with one hand on either side of the foot and then changing into any of those variations that is good to this side. My sides are so different that I have very different experience and do different things. Always want to check in with our breath and our breathing, making sure that it's even, we're breathing fully, circulating the energy through our body. If there's any labored breath or sort of resistance, then just a sign to back out a little bit or come out of break. Lunging like this for a while can be pretty intense on the inner front part of the hip and the hip flexor, psoas muscles. But very much a beneficial stretch, especially if you are sitting a lot or you do a lot of Pilates. Lunging is one of the best stretches. Okay, so we'll go ahead and straighten that left leg and lean back if you're on the mat and kind of rest the belly on the thigh, or if you're on the back, you want to straighten the leg to the ceiling. And we'll bring ourselves onto our back next. So if you're already there, just hug your knees into your chest. You want to have bolstering or pillows handy. Make sure they're somewhere we can reach them. Walking around, and then we're going to cross our right leg over our left leg, stacking the knees for twisted roots. If this works for you, you can also choose a different twist, because we'll go into a twist, but we'll start by pulling our knees into our chest. You'll feel a pretty good stretch in that right hip area, back underneath the thigh. And then if you have bolstering that you want to put on the left side, you can put it there. And then we'll guide our knees over to the left, our legs over to the left, and extend our right arm out from our shoulder with a little bit of a bend in that arm and a little bit up. Make sure your legs are supported somehow so you can relax them. The head might want to look to the left, or it might want to look to the right. Just a little different, or you might want to look up. And if our knees are high up in this twist, if we keep our knees high up here, we can really feel that stretch through our right hip, the back of the butt, the glute area, and into the thigh. Just keeping our breath nice and full and even. Our organs get a little massage here. These longer held twists will bring our nervous system into equilibrium and sort of help our spine come back to balance as well. Obviously, very nourishing for the digestive organs. Okay, so maybe using our right hand to kind of lift up our right knee here and bring ourselves back onto our back. You can hug your knees and kind of center your body. If you have pillows or bolsters, you can move them over to the right side. And then we'll stack our left leg on top of our right leg. Pull those legs into your chest, and you can feel that stretch in the left hip and the upper leg area there. Then we'll guide our legs over to the right with our left arm extending out. Might need to adjust your hips or body a little bit to find the position. And supporting our legs with our hands or pillows so they can relax. Keep those knees higher up if you'd like that stretch in that right hip area. Twist is a natural sedative. So relaxing our body. As we recalibrate our nervous system and our spine. Just in that relaxed space with our breath as we relax in this twist and breathe, right? We can just maybe notice that there is more sense of space and spaciousness within. Space that we are. Things pass through us. Thoughts pass through us. Feelings pass through us. All kinds of things are always passing through. But in reality, we're the space that allows that to happen. So not fixing on anything that passes through, just noticing, just acknowledging, just validating its presence, whatever it is, without grasping, without trying to move it out of our space, just watching, observing. Maybe with a little investigation. Why it's there. So You can slowly start to come out, or you can stay a little longer in the twist if you want. Feel like staying there a little longer, that's fine. Or can bring yourself back onto your back and hug your knees and come into any kind of a position that feels relaxing to you, maybe stretching out, or maybe you want to do a big stretch with your whole body, whatever feels good. I'm just taking a moment to integrate with our breath, our experience. So breathing, noticing what's happened as we tune into our breath and our body, how we might feel a little different, a little more spacious. Just giving thanks to our body, giving thanks to our breath, just having that gratitude. Thanks to the Mother, Gaia, for supporting us, our connection to her. Always there. Feel free to continue to lie there and integrate or get up slowly. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Deb.